RETROSAURUS with Oli and Kev.
Welcome to RETROSAURUS with myself, Oli.
And Kev.
And we're here today to talk about the fantastic John Hughes film, Weird Science.
And
And it's exactly those kind of sounds that we're going to be thinking about later because we want to be making our own man. What would that be? What would our perfect man be, Kev? What would yours be?
who knows what we would cook up in that laboratory? God, the legs would be attached to the arms and the head would be on the scrotum.
And that, what a scrotum would be.
So the idea for tonight's podcast was that we would look at this film and try to imagine how it would be interpreted differently had this film been made with gay teenagers in mind instead of straight ones. And secondly, how does this compare to what you want in a man nowadays?
Yes, exactly. That's true. Yeah.
Well, I was sort of thinking about it and I thought, wow, how could you reinterpret this as a gay movie? And I was just like, actually, could this film be any gayer if it tried? This film is a gay film.
Well, you saying because the two kids are pretty much, they're so but actually the two bullies and the two kids are so much more in tune with each other than they are with the girls. Is that what you mean? Is that what you think?
Well, I'll explain. Maybe before we get into it, maybe we should just do a quick recap of what it actually is for people who don't know what it is or don't remember, because I had some memories of it, but they weren't brilliant.
Okay.
So, basically, Weird Science is a 1985 American science fantasy comedy film written and directed by John Hughes, who made Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club, right?
16 Candles.
Starring Anthony Michael Hall. Now, probably a lot of people would remember the face, but not the name. Interestingly, I discovered that he was in the last Halloween film with Jamie Lee Curtis. This guy called, I think, Ian Mitchell Smith. Kelly LeBrock, of course, who was a model and so forth.
Interesting stuff about her. We'll get to her in a bit.
He is. So nerdy social outcasts Gary and Wyatt are humiliated by the two bullies, one of which is Robert Downey Jr. and the other one is this other hot guy from the time, but his name escapes me for the moment. They want to win the affections of these two girls. One is blonde, one is a brunette.
Yeah,
and
just
they
like
are
them.
Exactly just like them. And if I'm right, the blondes end up together and the brunettes.
That's correct.
There could have been some contrast. If this had been a gay film, there would have been contrast. I'm just saying. Well,
I mean, if you were looking at it from another perspective, you could say, well, surely their reason they're friends is potentially because there is an attraction there. So why wouldn't one go for the other, the girl with the other hair because they're attracted to the other person? If you know what I'm saying, but. No, instead you could argue, well, they became attracted to people that look like them, except as women, maybe.
Wow. Remind me
that's deep, but that's not really what I don't this film meant to be this deep.
Remind me never to go to the hairdresser with you ever.
Well, it would be very short, but both of us. But I don't think you have to worry about it.
Well, you could get a flat top like Chet. Who is
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton is the big brother who's like a big bully who generally goes around in army fatigues with a shotgun.
He definitely could have been gay. There was definitely some repression going on there, wasn't there? No question.
Definitely. And it all starts off with Frankenstein. They're watching Frankenstein and say, hey, let's make a virtual woman and make her to our specifics by hooking up a doll to some electrodes. And she leads them to popularity and they get girlfriends and everybody lives happily ever after, right?
Yeah. I would say that's a good little summary. There's lots of bits in there that we can question though, I think, as to what the hell is going on. But it's basically it is basically a Frankenstein idea, but for two horny teenage boys creating a woman, basically.
Yeah. In a nutshell, right? I'll put it out there. I wouldn't change a thing about this to make it any gayer. It's already a gay film. It's a gay classic. in my opinion. The only thing that I would change about it is some very un-PC black speak that happens.
Oh yeah, that was horrendous. That was horrendous. And well, there's one bit where the bullies try to do that at the bar. They try and almost have that kind of weird speak, and then the black barman rightly like threatens to put a bottle up one of their asses again. Yeah, gay innuendo.
I had forgotten about that bit.
Yeah, but that was the only bit. It was, but yeah, when they were in the club and they were like imitating them, it was really weird. It was really weird. Just
to fill everybody in on what we're talking about here. Gary and Wyatt are taken immediately after the creation of Kelly LeBrock's Superwoman character, are immediately taken to a dive bar called, is it called Candyland? Did I get that right?
Oh, you might have done. I can't remember the name, but yeah, I'll take your word for that.
This nasty bar where everybody looks like Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch, right? For some reason, that's the first place this English woman takes you once she's been created.
But remember, the English accent is the epitome of the because they were creating the perfect woman when they were creating in this machine, and they put a picture of Einstein in the computer. Beethoven, for some reason, they wanted to play music like Beethoven. Not entirely sure why.
But yeah, I think Kelly LeBrock's character, basically, she just arrived from England. You know, and she didn't know where she was going. She'd never been to Hollywood before, is my idea. So that's why they ended up in that bar with Huggy Bear and, you know, all these 70s criminals. But what's really weird is Gary breaks into this kind of black speak, and it's been dubbed, in my opinion, by a black person. So a black person gave their consent to this.
Oh, you think so? I thought it was so. I thought it was both of them putting on these stupid imitation accents of them as they're getting drunk. Now you could say that that what was happening there was that when you're with a group of people, when you so don't fit in, you try and mimic people's like mannerisms to try and fit in. You could, if you were being generous, that's what you would say, but it's still not right. It's just not right at all.
Oh, it's so wrong.
It's not right.
It's so wrong. Right. There's a couple of references to faggots.
Yes.
Which I didn't like much. So I would change those two things majorly to bring it up to speed with today's, audiences.
I think the first one you could passes by and kind of like, oh, well, that is kind of language being used at the time. The second one was more aggressive because that was when, so at the crescendo of obviously this film, Lisa, obviously the woman, the perfect woman, the Frankenstein that they've created, decides that they need to show bravery in order to win these women and be the real men that she knows they can be. So she creates these fictitious like people to come in and at the house, and then they pick up the courage to kind of fight them off somehow. I'm not entirely sure how they did that. But anyway, let's avoid that for a second. But then that's when he uses the word, "You better get out of here." Because does he say something like "you and your faggot friends" or something like that? Something along those lines.
Oh, you're talking about when the mutants arrive in the house.
That's when he used it, the very aggressive, like you're. But were they called faggots originally? Is that what it was? I think it was. Was it Chet? Yeah, I felt like, it doesn't enhance the film either way. You didn't need that.
You didn't either need way. It was just going too far, wasn't it?
Can we just one bit? The making of her. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as we were saying, he's got a computer.
Yeah.
Was the original idea seemed to be, oh well, let's create the perfect woman on the computer and we can ask her questions and she can help us, etc. Yeah. So okay. And then they seem to get more and more into it. And then they hacked, was it the Pentagon?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So they rang up maybe the Pentagon and they put their phone into the computer and it hacks their computer somehow.
It's called the Crypto Smasher.
Right, okay.
This thing. Yeah. Totally high tech. The Pentagon computer room looked a little bit like, it was the walls were wobbling and stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah, and it had one man in there late at night, just not really doing very much, not really understanding what's happening.
Well, he was in a right flap, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
God, he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So there is that, but then it seemed to be like, so they pressed enter, they attached the stuff to the doll, and then there was some weird lightning coming over the house
and the red sky.
So, but that also made me think. I know it's called Weird Science. It's supposed to be like they created her, but did they? Oh
yeah.
But do you not feel like there was some kind of weird? It could almost been like a supernatural thing going on. Maybe that. I know that wasn't what the idea was, because it's so bizarre. I know you're suspending your imagination anyway, because it's a completely nonsense idea.
Oh, you mean it was like the Amityville Horror or something?
A little bit.
Yeah, it had that about it. What struck me about the doll was the fact that she had on this crop top and blue pants. And there's a point where one of the guys is just walking around in these women's blue pants and a crop top.
Yeah, he is.
Come on.
So yeah. Well, let's just talk about this, because you're saying that you think this you can get a more gayer film.
Oh, it's gay as a goose.
But so good. Talk to me. Well, what is that? What does it mean that makes it camp? That makes it gay?
Oh, well,
are you saying that they're really gay? That the two kids are gay?
Yes,
you are.
Yeah.
What's with them ending up with the girls at the end?
Well, like when you're gay, one of the things we spoke about at the beginning was when you're gay in the 80s, the main thing is like not to show anybody that you are gay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we all know like what goes on with people who are not strictly gay and etc. So there's first of all, there's the fashion. Now, all the 80s films have ridiculous fashion anyway.
Yeah.
It's the whole, let's just say the 80s was gay. Can we just go as far as that? I mean, did you notice how many badges they had on and how many sort of zips and epaulets and stuff like that? It looked like something that somebody had, whipped up on RuPaul's Drag Race. The two guys are quite suspect. They're always showering together.
Well, to be fair, they showered once together because they were wanting to see her shower, but they were fully clothed during that time.
That's true.
But they do spend a lot of time together in the room, in the bathroom when the party's going on, of course. In the cupboard, they go and hide in the closet.
Okay.
And they get pulled out the closet. Is that what you're going for?
Closets in general. The grandparents end up in the closet.
True.
They're in the Gary and Wyatt are in the closet, but get pulled out of the closet by the BDSM gang. Okay, well, there's another gay moment, a sort of glory hole moment, in my opinion, where Wyatt goes to the toilet and goes in the cubicle, and there's a guy in there, and he's sitting on him.
Yes, yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
I tell you what, blink and you miss that bit.
Yeah,
blink and you miss it. But that was, see, that's what being gay in the 80s was like.
It was just like cottaging.
Well, not necessarily. It was just like blink and you miss it.
It's true that bit's never really meant reference again, isn't it? Because he's just out. The next time you see him is out when they're all drinking, sitting around that table. That's it.
Exactly. There's no mention of it. Like
True.
What happened in the bathroom with that, who knows? I presume he was some sort of biker from the 70s. Some criminal of chips was in there. And then if we really want to get onto some of Chet's comments, I mean, here's one where, what's his name? Wyatt comes home late.
Yes.
And Chet says, do you know what time it is? Because, Chet, the reason that Chet's like the thorn in their side is because he's in charge.
Yes.
While the parents are away conveniently. Yeah. And he said, do you know what time it is? And he says, it's time to pay the fiddler. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And especially because Chet is really suspect in the sense that he looks far too old to be living with his parents.
Potentially. He's definitely damaged goods.
And so is Kelly LeBrock, by the way. I mean, we should call this film Weird MILF.
But Kelly LeBlanc is their inventor. Remember, she doesn't stand in any place. She's with them because they've created her.
That's
true.
The
only reason she exists.
So do you think they wanted a MILF or a cougar or something?
Well, no, of course they wanted an older woman. But all the women that they used from their magazines were all models, like who were in their 20s. So there you go. And she was 23. See, that's the thing. I mean, she's 23.
She looks about 40.
No, she doesn't look 40. Come on.
She does. Look at that hair.
40. But they're 15. And one of them gets off of her quite aggressively kissing her. This apparently was made into a TV show, I saw. But I don't think anyone watched it. So
I did.
Oh, you did?
Because it's on the DVD extras.
Why? It's on the extras. Oh my! What, the whole show?
No, just the first episode, the pilot episode, right?
Oh, okay.
It's terrible. It's so bad.
No shit.
It's so bad. It's unbelievable. Because they made it in the 90s, I think.
Oh my God.
It's like the boat has sailed, you know.
The boat has gone. The boat has gone.
And it's, anyway, my copy is called Une créature de rêve, which is the French version, obviously, which is a creature of dreams.
Creature of dreams.
And in Italian, of course, it's called La Donna Esplosiva, the explosive woman.
Explosive woman.
which actually has a sort of an added title, as I found out, which is La Donna Esplosiva è puramente sessuale. The explosive woman is purely sexual.
The explosive woman is purely sexual.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. But then
I love it.
If she's exploded, I don't know how much use she is after that, really.
You have to be careful, though, between exploded and explosive.
True. That's a good point.
Right.
That's true. But eventually, if someone's explosive enough, they explode, no?
Yeah, especially if you're purely sexual.
If you're purely sexual, that's the match, isn't it? That's the match.
That is her role in this movie.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you just go back one step. The breasts, the breast size that they decide, and then when they're the second time around, when they're going to make them, the bullies are like, no, they have to be big.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's like, no, they shouldn't be bigger than a handful. It's an interesting, that's what they first said. That's why she was created that way.
Or you'll strain your thumb.
You'll strain your thumb. Yes.
Whatever you're doing with your thumb. You know what? This is a whole area that I think we should get into because I have no idea why that is necessary in life. I've no idea.
Not entirely sure.
And why?
But they don't know either. They don't know either. Remember, because the first time they're creating that, they've known. I mean, that's the whole point. They know nothing about women or a woman. They've never been with a woman.
And what would you be doing with your thumbs? I think they think it's a Nintendo game console or something like that.
Maybe they do.
Yeah.
Because let's just taking it further, right? The only way, this isn't like now where the internet is awash with pornography.
It's a wash, is it?
Yeah, I would say so. When you say so, you've got Twitter, Instagram, probably not on your Facebook. It's not on your mum and dad's Facebook profiles, but generally beyond that, there's a lot out there. Whereas in those days, you got to get a magazine like they had, like the Playboys. You've got to have some kind of dodgy tape that you might be stealing from your older brother,
or the underwear
catalog
section of the Great Universal Catalog.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That was the only outlet.
Exactly. And if you're a gay boy or girl growing up at that time, your options are even more limited.
Do you think?
Well, in terms of what you can have access to, because I mean, it's all very well your parents catching you with a Playboy or whatever, but it's slightly different if they catch you with magazines of the same sex.
Yeah, you'd be.
How do you explain that one away?
Yeah, you would be sent off on the next train to Auschwitz or something like that,
or to military school like Chet. There you go.
Or military school or some. Who knows? Who knows what?
To strain them out. That was the old classic, wasn't it?
Yeah, who knows what panicked parents think up at the last minute to save the day, Shall I tell you what my favorite scene in the whole thing is? is when Kelly LeBrock goes to a department store and there's this old lady. There's this old lady in the department store.
That's
this
very
is
good.
Genius. And the script is there's this old lady who looks like Grandma from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Definitely.
Who works in a sexy lingerie shop.
No, I don't think that would be happening.
Right. So she comes in and she holds up this see-through black G-string and says to the old lady, if you were a 15-year-old boy, would these turn you on?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And do you
again, dodgy. I mean, arrestable.
Yeah.
Safeguarding 101.
And she says, do you have anything to go with it? Leather, rubber, or barbed wire?
Yeah, barbed wire.
And the old lady says, give me a break.
Yeah. I like that. Give me a break. That was a great line, to be fair. I was like, come on, give me a break. That was great. That was very good.
Good line there, I think, with it closing with the barbed wire there. But wouldn't she have been much better off just going off to, like, what do you call it? The DIY store or something like
true.
that. I mean,
but that wouldn't have been as funny. That wouldn't have as funny line with the old woman.
No, I said very odd. Very odd. What a very odd request, you know.
I liked a few though. I like the bit in where they face off against the mutants and they send them off, and then the guy who's I know he's in like many horror films. The guy who was in The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, by Wes Craven.
Yeah, no, that's the guy with the shaved head and the eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, please don't tell. I'm a teacher. Please, is this something like? Please don't tell the school about this. I'm a teacher. I don't want to lose my job."
There's some really good lines there. Where
what did the guy with the mechanical face say as well? He said something really funny as he was leaving. He was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. You have a lovely house," or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Something even more stupid like that.
So,
okay,
Ollie, what happens at the point where we meet the gang? Like, if you had to describe it.
Right. Okay. Well, I think, as I said earlier, she decides that they're not being manly enough. They're not, can't show their true colors. So what she's going to do is create an event, a task that they've got to overcome. So she goes, okay, here's a good idea. I'm going to bring in 3 crazed motorcycle gang people who come crashing through the house, scaring everyone, driving up the stairs and so forth, smashing everything, abusing the guests. And then the main leader of them comes in with a woman on a chain. Well, he's with a gun. He's got a sawn-off shotgun.
That's right.
Description, a Mohican, etc. So, one of the bikers has got like a mechanical weird face. One of them's got weird eyes and is completely, bald or whatever. And they're just smashing the place up. And then they have to face off against them, but they don't want to. They're just hiding in the cupboard, and she's trying to encourage them to do so. And then they just get pulled out the closet by the mechanical guy, and then insulted, like saying, so Lisa's given them all this information to say, oh, look, you're the kind of people that shower. You can't even shower a beautiful woman without your clothes on. And everyone's laughing, which is a bit weird because these guys are just scared the hell out of everyone.
Yeah.
And, but they're all like, oh, ha, ha, ha. Isn't that funny? Let's all laugh at these kids. And that eventually, once they grab the girls, provokes them into kind of reacting. Mm-hmm. But I don't really understand that. That's a bit of a jump. It's a bit of a jump because they are cowards. So I don't really understand that.
So there's the girl on the chain and all that. And then she's like laughing away like an idiot. And Gary comes in and goes, why don't you shut up, bitch?
Yeah. That's a lot, isn't it? That's quite a lot, isn't it? Like she's on a chain. I mean, leave the girl. I mean, leave the woman out of this. She's done the least damage here out of the rest of them.
She has, and she's clearly loving it, whatever it is her hobby is, Yeah. And then he says, don't come in here with your faggot friends, and then pulls a gun on the guy from Mad Max, who's really was the same character in Mad Max, as it happens.
Oh, so that was deliberate. I didn't even know that. I didn't even notice that. Okay. So that's where that's all from. Of course it is, Mad Max. Okay.
But it's like the same. It's like who knows what happened there. So Gary pulls a gun on Mad Max, who just so happens to have a shotgun, or what I'm calling a boomstick, because it was weird. It had all kinds of feathers, and it was like something that a Red Indian tribe had fashioned.
The reason Gary has that gun is because Lisa has used that same gun to threaten his parents originally, and then she tells him it's a water pistol in the car, and then obviously he has it for that moment. Sorry, yeah.
But it ends up having bullets in it.
Yeah, it ends up being real.
The woman, first of all, the chained woman, as she's leaving, because they all get told to leave, and Mad Max lets out this massive primeval roar and leaves looking all pissed off.
But just remember, Lisa has created these people, I'm guessing, out of nothing, and then they will disappear into the ether unless she's brainwashed them into coming somehow, because she's done that. She's created them.
The chained woman says, "You have a lovely home."
Yes.
She leaves. Now, I don't know if she would be the ideal person to take interior decoration advice from. Judging by the look of her, she looks like something that came out of a pit.
Yeah,
like a David Lee Roth concert or something.
But you know what? People have their private lives and they have their work lives. There are plenty of people, who are into this whole puppy culture, where they all dress as puppies and they're puppies. But I'm sure outside of the whole pretending that they're dogs and whatever, but they all have regular jobs. They all do things. So don't judge. She could be an interior designer in a professional life.
She could
and
be.
Then on the side, she just likes to be trained up to a Mad Max type character and carried around to laugh at his jokes.
Then, and you're right, because the bald guy leaves and said, "Can we keep this between us? Because it's obviously really embarrassing. I could lose my teaching job." So you're right. It's very Jekyll and Hyde Hollywood, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And the leather face, or the computer face guy, or whatever it was you said, robot face.
Yeah.
He says, "Call me, we can have lunch."
Yeah, call me, we can have lunch. That was it.
Which
call
is such an 80s thing to say, isn't it? In your game version of Weird Science, if that is at all possible.
Yeah, let's get into the game version of this.
Right.
Okay.
Who would be Kelly LeBrock's male version? Do you think?
Well, in the 80s, we're talking about in the 80s, because that would be the thing, wouldn't it?
Well, it would, but you don't have to, because
I'm going to, because I think it has to be. I think it has to be an 80s. It has to be an 80s heartthrob. I
love that you're such a stickler to.
I am sticklers for the rules. So if it's going to be a man at that time, I think you're either looking at someone like Patrick Swayze, or if you're looking for a more British UK type version, you're probably looking at Jason Donovan.
Wasn't he Australian?
Yes, but there weren't many English, heartthrobs going around in the 80s. Not that I can think of at the top of my head. It's Jason Donovan, because Neighbours was so popular. And I can't really think of anyone else. Maybe, but I don't think he would be an ideal candidate for this. But Cliff Richard.
That's a terrible suggestion. It's not a Christian.
It's a Christian weird science. It could be Christian weird science. That would be a different movie altogether as well.
Why don't you just have Daniel O'Donnell in it as well?
Well, there you go.
Go to bed together.
Nate, but that's the thing, isn't it? Maybe I'm just forgetting, but give me a UK, give me a British or Scottish or Welsh or Irish heartthrob at that time.
Tom Jones.
No, Tom Jones. That was too old. That's too old.
But that's what they want in this film. They want old people to turn up.
Who's the British equivalent, British Irish equivalent of Patrick Swayze in the 80s? Who is it? I don't know who it is. I can't answer that.
What about that Maxwell Caulfield that was on Dynasty, who I thought was American? Turns out he was on Emmerdale.
Oh, okay. No, I don't. I don't know who he is.
Well, it's not even famous.
Hot. Okay, well, fair enough. Maybe him.
Nick Kamen.
What was he in?
Well, I think he was just famous for modeling, but so was Kelly LeBrock. And
Yeah.
Nick Kamen was famous because he was in the Levi's commercial where he went into the laundrette and took his jeans off and put them in the tumble dryer, in the washing machine, rather.
Yep, I know exactly who you mean. Yes.
Okay.
I have now Googled that, so I would say yes.
You would say yes, because that sort of fits with the Kelly LeBrock thing, doesn't it?
Yep, definitely
Right.
as a model. Yeah.
Right. And probably couldn't act very well either. So sorry, but
she was also in a film called Woman in Red. I don't know if we could pull that off, but we could give it a go.
Yeah. Anyway, I just threw this one in just to be random. Arnold from Different Strokes.
No.
No, okay.
I'm going to say no to that. You might as well just say Screech from Saved by the Bell. No, I'm not going to say that.
It's just so elitist, But anyway, okay, moving on.
I am elitist.
That gay bloke that I don't know the name of, that was in Mrs. Doubtfire, that has a really gruff voice.
Oh yeah, that guy. No.
Yeah. Okay. Doogie Howser MD.
Oh yeah.
And he is actually gay.
He is gay. That's right.
So,
yeah, definitely.
So you don't have any of that sort of straight people playing gay people and whatnot.
No, I'm not fussed by that.
And he's quite attractive, I suppose.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He has an actual name as well that I've completely forgotten, but he's in loads of stuff now.
But here's the thing. I did this whole 80s list of everything.
Neil Patrick Harris. Sorry, carry on.
That's him. I did this whole list, Rob Lowe, blah, blah, blah. And then I was watching the film and I went, no, there can be only one person that can play Kelly LeBrock in this gay fantasy of ours.
Yeah.
Which is Russell Brand.
See, if Russell Brand, if I'd made Russell Brand, I think I would have burnt the house down.
Think about it though. Like, it's not my personal fantasy, right, at all. But just
No.
bear with me. All the things that she does are completely random, first of all.
Yes.
She speaks in this sort of Dickensian way. Like, oh, go away, little man. As Russell Brand is wont to do or something. And says, I'm going to kick your ass.
Yes. Yeah.
No. And Russell Brand would probably do something like that, I think.
The only thing I would say is, the nature of this film, of what it's called, weird science. It's supposed to be like a science thing, but Russell Brand is now on the whole anti-vax, anti-science, whole thing.
Conspiracy
so he'd be completely
theory.
the wrong person. He could definitely not be created by science because he doesn't believe in it. He'd be the worst person. I bet Kelly LeBrock's character would get vaccinated. She'd believe in the science.
Oh my God. I would be really extremely worried if anybody got vaccinated in this film because, it could be anything.
Well, what can we just say? What does Chet turn into? What is that? See, my recollection was that he was turned into a huge piece of shit.
He was.
Is that what it is? Is that what he is?
Yeah.
But why has he suddenly become a frog at one point and he eats a fly? You sure it's not a toad? Because I thought it was a piece of shit. But when I watched it, I thought, is he supposed to be like a toad or a frog? I was a bit confused. Is it supposed to? Because I thought it was, but it's never made clear.
No. In fact, we should get some sort of zoologist on it.
Attenborough. Send it to him. See what
or some feces experts.
Yeah,
to clear that up. I want to get onto a thing about Chet speak and in particular things that Americans say in 80s movies, right? And some of them are really quite outrageous, and I'm not very sure what they really mean. Here's a really good one. When there's the missile that's in the house, and somebody says it's a missile, and he turns around and goes, "Well, I didn't think it was a whale's dick, honey."
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to what you say to that. Really, I guess okay, fair enough. You didn't think it was whale's dick. Yeah, okay. That's
yeah,
a good
but
point.
who thinks about that? Who thinks about that?
Well, obviously, Chet in his room, he thinks
Or
about whales' dicks.
or could it be those people that go on boats and go whale watching off the coast of Canada or something?
Well, I've been to whale watching in Iceland, and I didn't find any whales. And the person came on the tannoy where everyone was throwing up overboard because the sea was so rough.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, whales are migratory." It's like, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, because of course they are. They don't bloody stay in one place, do they? Obviously, when they've got such big penises, they're not going to stay in one place. They're going to go around the ocean.
This is the first time I really thought about whales' penises, to be quite frank with you.
Well, in Iceland, there is a museum of penises, and they have a whale's penis in there, which you can look at your leisure.
Not while you're on business.
Well, you can say it's business and try and claim it back for tax purposes, but I mean that's entirely up to you, and that's you and HMRC. I've got nothing I can add to that. I don't know if you can get furlough for that. I'm not sure, but anyway, yeah. If you're looking for some whale penises, that's the place to go.
That's a good line anyway. Oh yeah, I must say the reason why he's so pissed off at that point is that he comes back after shooting ducks and he has a duck in his hand.
Yeah, two ducks, isn't it? Is it more than one? Yeah. He doesn't give two ducks, I guess.
And he's pissed. Oh,
maybe that was it. Maybe that was it.
If only we had a snare drum.
Yeah, it's like no sound effects yet. Can't afford it. No budget for that.
They could be added.
Yeah.
So he's pissed off, and quite frankly, I think anybody would be. Did you see the state of that house? It was a mess.
Well, he was going to have to explain it to his parents, who had left him in charge. So
yeah,
his dad was an arsehole when the dad finally turned up. Anyway, but
yeah, he was an arse.
He was a bit of a dickhead.
He was the one that was dancing in the photos.
Yeah, him and the wife were dancing in the photo.
Yeah, but you know what? There's this thing that all gay people are fashion conscious, interior designers, etc., right?
Right.
I mean, so if we follow that narrative, can you just imagine what gay people that would live in this house would think about this whole thing? Either they would love it for its minimalism, because there's nothing left in the house.
No.
Apart from the big phallic rocket, which I'm sure they love.
Yeah.
Or they'd be completely horrified because there's no soft furnishings anymore.
No, that's true. That's true.
But this is so stereotypical, not all gay people are into soft furnishings.
No, that's true. This is true.
I mean,
but also it is quite a messy place, and gay people don't like mess. You could argue, you could say the stereotype would be the nice and tidy, and Chet is nice and tidy. When you go into his room, apart from the snow, why is it snowing in his room? I'm not entirely sure, but
I think that's a reference to cocaine. Personally, I think nothing is by chance in this movie. I think that
they're all on cocaine.
Yeah, that what somebody said in the DVD extras was that this is the insight into a teenage boy's mind.
Okay.
And I think you can read into everything in this film. And probably be like absolutely spot on about why it's there. But he's pissed off, and rightfully so. I would be really angry about that. So and then he says, "I wouldn't give a squirt of piss for your ass right now." And there's a really good line that I would love to use myself. Yeah. Just in an everyday situation. Like, like if you get bad customer service in the supermarket or something like that. Yeah. And it's this one where Kelly LeBrock says, "I can be a real serious bitch if I don't get what I want." Yeah, nothing stopping you saying that. I mean, next time if they say no, I'm afraid this isn't on discount at the till, you could say that line. I'm a real bitch, right? I mean, I don't know if that will help. I mean, I just go, but I can't do anything. There's a very revealing line at the end of this film where they have to send Kelly LeBrock off back into the ensuite bathroom because everyone's got one of those, right? When you're 15.
Well, he's quite rich, to be fair. He's clearly rich. Their family are rich.
They
No
really
question.
don't look like they live there, though. They look like they really do look like they're there because a casting agent decided to put them in a movie.
Yeah, true.
They do not belong there.
But what's interesting, I mean, that's Wyatt's place. He's the rich one.
Mhm.
Gary's parents' place looks far more modest.
Well, they're scum, aren't they?
So there's a very big difference there in terms of,
Yeah.
But anyway,
nasty wood paneled interior of that house. Anyway, so the thing, the end thing is they send Kelly LeBrock off because they've met girls who they in like the space of an hour and a half. It's not even. I don't think this film is even that long.
It's 87 minutes.
Is it right? But it felt like half an hour, right?
And this is a day, isn't it? So they get bullied at school. They stay over at night. They create her. She takes them to a bar.
Yeah.
They get up the next day. They do some. They won't go to the mall. She has a party in the evening, and then that all happens. And then so it's a space of a day and a half, or maybe 2 days. Are we being generous there?
It felt like if we had the same day, I could have gone to the supermarket and come back, and the whole thing would have been over.
Yeah, potentially.
And she gets sent away. They've got girlfriends who they are now in love with. What Kelly LeBrock says is, she says, they said, "Oh, are you upset? You know that we're sending you away, and then we've got girlfriends and stuff." And she's like, "No, I'll try to do this in my best Russell Brand accent."
Please, okay, go on.
So I'm getting off seeing you guys getting straightened out in it, right?
Straightened out.
Get straightened out. That is this film is not about being gay, it's about gay conversion therapy.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently on the set, Robert Downey Jr., who you mentioned before, was rumored to have pooped in other people's trailers.
What, like on the floor or in their toilets?
We don't know all the specifics, but there's like rumors going around, and that there was a rumor going around that he was going to go and shit in Kelly LeBrock's trailer and stuff.
This just sounds like an arsehole prank kind of thing that he was into doing. Well, that's fine.
Exactly, but that's not where I'm going with this, actually. Where I'm really going is the fact that we're calling this a trailer. Okay, if this were the UK, this would just be Americana for caravan. I'm sorry.
Right, oh, okay. Okay, that's your issue. The fact that
that's my issue with this.
But it is called a trailer. That's what the actors and all they always. I'm going back to my trailer. Going back to the trailer.
At best, it's a residential caravan. Okay.
I like the fact that is the thing you're taking up on about this. You don't really give a shit about the shit.
In fact, if I tell you what, if we were to make this film, I would just make it like a John Waters kind of film.
Oh, okay. Make Dean Brown come in and have
just make it in a caravan in like Skegness or something, and you know, have someone that vaguely looks like Robert Downey Jr. or just have someone and just put a badge on him that says Robert Downey Jr. And that.
Well, where did this Junior come in though? That's the only other thing, because in this film he's called Robert Downey.
Oh, is he? That was well observed.
And I was like, where's this Junior bit come from? I'm sure. I was like, well, why is he? Because in the, I noticed it in the credits. Obviously, he wasn't obviously established enough then, but maybe I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely. I didn't know when the Junior came in. Oh, okay. He made his debut. I didn't realize this. In a film by his father called Robert Downey Sr. There's a surprise. So maybe the Junior thing happened just because he realized he wanted to differentiate. But yeah, in this original film, I'm sure he was just Robert Downey, basically. So don't know where that came from.
No offense meant, but this film is rubbish.
Oh, I mean, it's thin on the ground. It's thin on the ground of any kind of plot. You know, but hey, listen, it was. I know it was a popular film. It's a cult classic, I would say, potentially cult classic, and also it did well. It did okay, I think. The budget $7.5 million, right? It made at the box office $38.9 million. It made more than it cost. I'm surprised it cost $7.5 million, but there you go.
Well, there you go then. That's
that shit puppet was probably at least $1.5 million of that.
I bet you those little people did not get paid hardly anything for that.
Maybe not.
That claustrophobic shit experience.
They probably died during that, and no one cared. They probably had to be buried in it or something.
In our movie, it would have been very different.
Well, that's been Retrosaurus with myself, an incarnation of a piece of shit.
And I've been Kelly LeBrock, the Milfy Russell Brand impersonator from hell.
And we've learned a lot about science, about men, about women, and drugs and parties in the 80s. Until next week.